Hi there, and welcome to Steps Together, the Steps for Development podcast, where we come together to build our own skills so that we can help the children in our lives to thrive and succeed. I'm your host, Deb Johnson, and I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're a parent, educator, childcare provider, or healthcare professional, or maybe you're a family member or a friend of a neurodivergent child, someone wired differently, any child who might be struggling, you are in the right place to learn about child development and behaviors and how those differences make our children unique, not less. Here you'll learn the why behind behaviors, what you can do to make a difference, and how you can advocate and support all children as you become empowered with tools and skills that bring lasting change. Today, I want to start by acknowledging each and every one of you. I am so grateful that you are here. And if you're here listening, it means that you are somehow involved and invested in a child who is differently wired, a child who is high needs or special needs or whatever label you want to put on there, right? A child who is different and potentially a child who is confusing to you. Maybe they're a bit of a paradox. Maybe they present with very confusing behaviors and very asynchronous developmental skills. They're maybe very advanced in some areas, really smart and clever, good problem solvers, strong-willed, but they really struggle with their social emotional skills or communication. And you're just confused about, what do I do with these children? How do I support them? And it doesn't matter what role you have with these children, whether you're raising one child like this or you're teaching an entire classroom with children who are just more, right, have more needs, or maybe you're a healthcare professional and you work either in the schools or in a clinic setting, and you're working with many different children across the span of a week with a wide variety of needs. This work is hard. That's what I want you to hear today. This is hard. In any way that we are involved with these children, with these needs, it is hard work. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for being there and working with these children, raising these children, helping these children to thrive, loving these children so that they can become the best that they can be. I know how hard it is. I have kids that are differently wired, kids that needed different things. I have a number of children, and no two of them are the same. And it's been a challenge. Parenting doesn't come with an instruction book. And sometimes the people around you who are giving you instructions for your child, they don't really know your child. So then you're getting bad instructions, the stuff that just doesn't work for your particular child. It's hard. And I just want to start off by acknowledging that and telling you that I get it. And I see you. I see how hard you're working. And I see how you are struggling. I see how you question yourself. And if you're like me, you have days where you are questioning yourself. You're asking whether you even have the capacity to do this. You're asking yourself, am I failing? Am I getting this wrong? And I'm here to tell you, no, you're not getting it wrong. You're not failing. You're learning. And the fact that you're even listening to this podcast is absolutely a feather in your cap of success, because you are reaching out, looking for support and looking for information and knowledge that will allow you to learn and grow and do something different, hopefully better, that makes things calmer and more enjoyable, more joyful, whether that's at home or in school or out in the community. Um, yeah. So I want you to hear this message today loud and clear. Working with these children, raising these children, this is not about perfection. It's not about you being the perfect parent or you being the perfect therapist or you being the perfect teacher or you being the perfect childcare provider or whatever role you are in. You're not perfect. And that's okay because you're human and you're going to make mistakes. You're going to get it wrong because this is a learning process. And learning comes from failure. Learning comes from making mistakes. Learning comes from developing a growth mindset that says, I made a mistake. This didn't go well, but I can figure this out and I can solve this problem and do something different. So let's talk a little bit about the reality of parenting these children, working with these kids. It is demanding work. There's a reason we are all exhausted because it's hard and it's demanding. And our exhaustion, our frustration, our own dysregulation that comes from the amount of effort that doing this job takes, that contributes in part to the times that we fail. And I'm going to put that in air quotes, right? That we fail. One of my therapists put up a sign in our robot room. It's also called the control room, where the kids work on their self-regulation skills. And this sign says, fail means first attempt in learning. And I love that. So let's hang on to that through this episode and for the rest of our lives, that failure is just an opportunity to learn. So your exhaustion, your efforts, the amount of effort it takes is contributing sometimes to that because you are pulled in a million different directions. Because you're parenting, but you are also managing school meetings, you're managing therapy appointments, you're managing your child's needs, you're managing the input and the feedback and the opinions of your family and your friends. You're trying to figure out how to advocate for your children. You're trying to learn the right language to explain to others what your child needs. If you're a therapist, you're constantly taking courses and learning new information. You're seeing children that don't fit the mold, so to speak. You're seeing something that's new and different, and you're not quite sure what to do with it. You're hearing things from parents, and they need resources, and you're scrambling to meet the needs of your clients, your patients, your students. As a teacher, oh my gosh, you are juggling the needs of maybe 25 children in your classroom, some of whom are high needs, some of whom maybe are more typically developing, and you're trying to teach to the average child. And it's so very difficult when children fall on this bell curve, and some are at either end, at the extreme end. So I want you to recognize all the layers that go into raising, working with, supporting, helping, teaching these children. It is hard, and it is a constant juggling act and a balancing act, not only with their needs, but with your own needs. Because mind you, as you are embarking on this hard work of parenting and working with these children, you are also dealing with your own emotional needs and your own demands that have nothing to do with the child, right? Paying your bills, dealing with other crises for other family members, doing things just day to day in your own life, your own health and your own wellness. So cut yourself some slack. The very, very best thing that you can pack up for the start of this school year, as I'm recording this, it's transition time. We are all shifting back into the school year. Pack yourself some grace. All right? Would you do that for me? Just to make sure that you start this year, this school year, right? You move into this fall with a whole lot of grace for yourself and for others, but mostly for yourself, so that you recognize that being imperfect, making mistakes, failing is just human. And when we have a failure, it doesn't mean that all hope is lost. It just means we have to try again. It means we have an opportunity to learn. We're going to learn from that mistake and we're going to move on. So if you did the very best you could and you implemented a strategy to avoid a meltdown for a child, and that child escalated and had a meltdown anyway, I want you to recognize that that is okay. It's going to happen. It's not going to be perfect. The important piece of that is that we go back and we look at what went wrong. What was possibly the reason that that strategy in that moment, on that day, in that situation didn't work? Because that's going to be important information for us to use in the future. And that's part of my steps for development approach, this constantly learning, constantly problem solving. And it takes time to learn. So grace, we're going to pack a lot of grace as we move into this next season of our lives. Now let's reframe the idea of self-criticism. Because when we fail, we tend to beat ourselves up. I made a mistake. That went wrong. That ruined things for everybody. I failed the child. That child is now suffering more. We go through all these negative self-talk comments, these messages that we send ourselves that are just wrong. So I want you to let them go. I want you to really embrace the idea that good parenting, good skill development, good practice means I'm going to fail because I'm trying. If I'm failing, it means I tried something. Well, that's growth. That's a positive. And maybe you don't yet have the skills for exactly how to implement it. Maybe you implemented it at an incorrect time. Maybe, that's a lot of times I see that it's just the timing is off. I sometimes see a parent try to intervene during a treatment session, and I have to put up my hand and I say, oh, stop, right? I give them a signal, just hold off, don't do that, because right now is not the moment. We're eager to implement the strategy, we're eager to give the prompt, but the child isn't quite ready. And if we ourselves are stressed in that moment and we're feeling compelled to stop the behavior, and we're not thinking about our problem solving, and we're not staying clear and objective and regulated, then we are more likely to be impulsive ourselves. We're going to jump in and try to fix it and solve it too quickly. So get rid of the idea, this myth that good parents don't struggle, or good teachers always have it pulled together, or good therapists always have amazing sessions. It is just not true, right? It just is not true. Everyone working with children is going to make mistakes. So I want you to think a little bit about what has gone on with your kids, whatever children you're working with or raising. What has transpired in your interactions that were successes? So I want you to think about joyful moments. That was a success. If you had some connection with your child, you shared a joke, you laughed together, you enjoyed an activity together, there was smiling, there was laughter. That's connection. That is success. That is relationship building. Hang on to that. I wonder if there was a time in this past week that you did take a breath and you paused before you responded, so that instead of reacting, you were making a conscious choice about how you were going to respond. I wonder if in the past week you explored a new strategy. You learned something new, even if you didn't implement it. Did you hear about something that you want to implement or that you think might work? Did you gain some new skill? Did you dig a little deeper? Did you find something on social media and then go ahead and Google about it and check it out and learn a little bit more? That's a success. Did you get your kid to all their appointments and their camps? Did you help a child participate in therapy sessions or in a story time at the library, or their gymnastics class, or their art programming, or their music, or whatever it was? Did the child have some success in some community activity? There you go, another success, not a failure. Did you any time in this last week sit with a child who was having an outburst? Did you stay present while a child was having their own dysregulation? Did you help a child navigate some big emotions, even just once? That's a success. And I want you to hold on to those successes. It's so easy when we beat ourselves up, it's easy to forget those moments where we did have success. And trying is success in motion. It's movement in the right direction. It's okay if on Monday you had the capacity to sit with that child and hold space for their anger and their sadness and their struggles, and you worked them through that meltdown, and they were able to get back into a routine, their play, the next activity. And then on Tuesday, you lost it. You just lost it. And that child had a meltdown, and you couldn't do anything. You could not help. You needed somebody else to come in, or the two of you just escalated together. That's okay. That was Tuesday. Monday was amazing. That means there's hope for Wednesday. You just got to get back on track. And I'm here to tell you, you're on the right track. You're on the right track because you're here, right? You're learning, you're growing, you're developing your skills. I have learned over the years as a parent and a professional that both of these jobs require skill sets. And those skill sets have to evolve. I've mentioned on this podcast before, and if you've worked with me one-on-one, you hear me say this all the time. We do the best we can with what we've got. And when we know better, we do better, right? Thank you, Maya Angelou. If we are not evolving as humans, that's where we're doing something wrong, in my opinion. We as humans have got to be always learning and growing and changing and evolving. And when we get new information, our task as humans is to take that new information in, determine whether we need to change anything, right? Does that new information affect how we're doing things? And if so, make the change. Do it different. Do better, be better, right? Make that change. It is a unique capacity for us as human beings that we have the capacity to do that. It's what makes us stand out from all other animals, right? That we have this ability to reason and think and to make those decisions. And remember, as adults, we have that capacity which children lack. Their frontal lobes have not developed to give them the same level of reasoning, the same level of learning, of being able to synthesize and analyze, to go back. We call this metacognition, to know what we know, to know what we don't know, and to actively seek out those new skills. That's our capacity and our strength as an adult human. And I want you to embrace that so that moving forward, you embrace the small changes that you can make that change the lives of the children you are with. And that might mean that you learn one new skill. Maybe it's a skill, a tool for self-regulation. You learn how to regulate yourself, or you learn a tool to teach the child. And sometimes those are the same things. Sometimes not, but sometimes those are the same things. Deep breathing, mindfulness, those are tools we can all use, children and adults alike. Another small change that I like to emphasize is adjusting your expectations to meet the child's capacity. So if you are learning new skills and you are advancing your knowledge about your child's strengths and your child's challenges, again, this is a part of my Steps for Development approach. It's a crucial foundation. If you are just at that starting point and you are just now recognizing your child's true capacities and you're seeing where they are out of sync, you're seeing why they act the way they act. That's learning, that's growth, right? Embrace that as your own growth and give yourself that credit for that learning and that knowledge. And if you are focusing on your relationship with your child, again, another strong foundation in my approach. If you are focusing on that connection, if you are finding times to connect, engage, and build that relationship, you're succeeding. You're doing it right. Doing better is about aligning and growing, not being perfect. And there is never a too late to learn. There is never a too far gone. There is never a this is hopeless situation. Change can always happen. Change can always happen. So what can you do moving forward? I want you to take some of these ideas from today's episode and give these a try. Right? Spend the next week or so trying some of these things. I want you to, first of all, focus on you. At least 30 minutes a day. And that can be 2 15-minute breaks, maybe 3 10-minute breaks if that's all you can find. But you want to focus on you. You want to take time to find that calm. I personally have found it really helps to have some affirmations or mantras. I enjoy music. Music lifts my spirit. My favorite is Meghan Trainor's Good to Be Alive. It's from the Peanuts movie, and I love it. And it just ramps me up. It revs me up. It gets me going. So sometimes when I'm in the car, that's all I do is I just put that song on because it just really changes, shifts my energy, shifts my mood. So give yourself permission to rest and reset and find that energy again. Be able to recognize when you need to, as one of my therapists says, when you need to tap out. I like that phrase. When you need to tap out of a situation that is stressful, take it, tap out, right? A second thing you can do is to make sure that you have some support. It's hard. This is not a job to be done alone. Nobody does this alone with these kids. You can't. So identify at least one person, at least one, if not more, who are your support system. People who truly get it, people who you can vent to, people who you can trust. If you need to tap out, they can be there for your child, right? Just one, at least one. The third thing I want you to do is to practice self-compassion. And by that, what I mean is talk to yourself the way you would talk to your child. Be as kind and patient with yourself as you would with your own child, or with that child who needs you, or with your friends and your family, right? What would you say to them? You wouldn't beat them up. You would lift them up. So be kind to yourself. Use some affirmations to remind yourself that you are succeeding, that you are trying, that just by being present, you're making a difference, that you're learning, that you're growing. And then the last thing I want you to do is to stop the overwhelm. Quiet your brain. I have a brain that, it's one of those 10 windows open at the same time, and where is that music coming from kind of thing. I have one of those brains as well. And I'm often going in a million different directions, and I have so many things. I always say I have so many irons in the fire. I'm spinning so many plates, right? Whatever metaphor you want to use. And it's just so very important that you stop the overwhelm and you focus on one thing at a time. Just focus on one thing at a time. Focus on what is most important, most relevant. Maybe it's a crisis or a fire or something that needs, to be immediately addressed. Maybe it's a particular issue with a deadline. But find a way to organize and prioritize the things that need to be addressed. In the Steps for Development approach, I encourage parents to just focus on one situation. We don't work on never sit still, because we can't fix it. We focus on, my child is having difficulty staying at the table for dinner, and we just focus on dinner. And if you can hone in on just one thing at a time, I think that would really help you reduce your exhaustion and your sense of overwhelm. All right, let's wrap this up, because we all have a lot of things to do. So I don't want to go on forever with this episode. I want you to take these things away from today. You're not failing. You're not perfect. You are trying, and you are learning. I want you to pick one small shift for this week. Maybe that shift is that you're going to see your child's strengths more frequently. Maybe that's that you're going to focus on having a growth mindset, that you are trying and learning. Maybe it's going to be giving yourself more compassion. Maybe it's going to be finding those 10 minutes to give yourself some grace and time to reset. But please pick one small shift and focus on just doing that. And I want you to know that I see you. I see your effort. I see your love and your passion for these children. I see the way that you keep going and you keep showing up, even when it's hard, even when you feel invisible and that nobody else gets it. I see you. And that's all you need, is to know that what you're doing is making a difference. So please, please remember that you're not alone and that there is help. I'm going to add to the description with this podcast a link to a PDF, a downloadable PDF. And on that PDF will be some ideas for you for self-care and some parenting affirmations. They can be adapted for teachers and others, whatever role you have working with children, just some positive affirmations about your effort so that you'll have some sort of a tool, right? A tool to look at a list and think of things, because sometimes it's hard to come up with that. All right, that wraps it up for today. Look for that link. And, if you like what you hear here, please share the news about this podcast. Join my newsletter, sign up for my newsletter. You can do that on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. These podcasts get posted on YouTube. So please stay with me, and let's continue to grow and learn and be able to help these children to be successful and to thrive and find the joy in knowing and watching these children grow. So, thanks so much for being with me today. Until next time, bye for now.